I'm Chuck Miller from Oracle, and I'm going to take you through Enterprise Asset Management. Enterprise Asset Management is our plant and equipment maintenance offering integrated with EBS, and it allows you to do maintenance on all assets in your organization, from fleet, production machines, to even the actual facilities itself, such as HVAC and whatever. Safe harbor statement for you to look at. As I said, eAM is integrated with the rest of EBS. There are over 200 integration points within eAM. And in order to do that yourself, you would have to spend about $50,000 to $100,000 per each integration point, according to the Gartner Group. So we're going to take a look at eAM today, and we're going to see that it ties into manufacturing, inventory, purchasing, and financials. eAM is divided into 4 major groups: assets, work orders, preventative maintenance, and reporting. Let's take a look at the software. When I start off with, I have a landing page, and what I see to my left is any work requests I may have. I am a supervisor in this demonstration, and I have some checked out assets that I'll log out and tag out. The reason I mentioned that I'm a supervisor is I get to see everything. So I have work requests that I have to approve, but also some informational messages on work orders in my landing page. Let's start off by taking a look at assets. And I've created a personalized search. I share this environment with other people, and I don't want to see their assets. So I've created a search, as I can do as a user, and it shows me the asset I'm going to hone in on. I've skipped ahead a little bit and showing you that we can drop down. I hate to have to menu hop from screen to screen. So we're in eAM, wherever possible. We've gone through and said, okay, where do I want to drill down to from here? And I'm going to drill down into the asset hierarchy. So I see the asset hierarchy. I open the folders. This is my organization, EM2, and my categories are production machines. Below that is production conveyor lines, production machines, tanks, test equipment, etc. I've opened up production machines, and I can see that I have individual machines in here. You can go as deep as you need to go within eAM in terms of the hierarchy. So from the lowest of the lowest to the highest of the highest. So you can go all the way down to whatever level you need to maintain that. You can go very, very deep within your assets. I've highlighted the blender, and in the blender I see that I have a description, serial number, and asset number, of course. It is merely coincidental that the serial number is the same as the asset number. This can come from a next numbering table, or you can just override and type in the asset serial number that you want to use. So it's entirely up to you. The next group on here is when I take a look at the parent asset number, its group, but also a hyperlink into fixed assets. This is the first integration point that we have. This is not a fixed asset demo, but if I have the requisite authority and security, I can drill back into fixed assets to take a look at this asset. The third topic on here, just looking at the assets, I see the accounting class. This is a maintainable asset. I have a warranty that expires. I have an equipment failure set. So I have certain failure codes that I can enter for this asset. So in order to measure stuff like mean time between repairs, mean time to failure rate, I can look at those equipment failure sets to pull those out. But I also have attachments. And you can see in the attachments, I have a JPEG, which is simply a picture of this blender, but also a YouTube video. As we see more and more with the acceptance of the internet in maintenance organizations, that technicians will pull up a laptop and pull up a YouTube video to take a look at any maintenance they may have to do on a particular asset. So this can be attached to the asset, or this can be a hyperlink back to the server within your organization. It can also be a link to the manufacturer's website, anything you desire. So you can attach anything to anything. Looking at this asset again, there are some more drill downs that I have the capability to go into, such as asset details, a failure history, the configuration, etc. Look at the meters. But we're going to take a look at some specific details of this asset. And one of the details that I look at on the details screen is the number of open work requests, open work orders within the asset health, but also the location of this asset. You may have assets in your organization that move from building to building within a campus or plant to plant, wherever the case may be. This gives you the ability to keep track of where this asset is located at any particular time. As we scroll down, I see that I have user-defined attributes associated with this asset. So I have some Blender meter data, warranty data, and another warranty data. So I have an extended warranty on this, and I've created two separate categories of warranty data on this asset. These are user-defined fields that can be required and will carry forward with the asset as deep as you want it to go. The third area to take a look at are these asset activities. Activities are going to be important when we create work orders because an activity has a bill of material and a routing. Bill of material is simply the materials I need in order to work on this asset and do that particular activity or task. The routing tells me the steps and the resources I need to accomplish that. So it's a time saver. When I go to create a work order, I'm simply going to say I'm going to do this activity, and it's going to carry forward the materials and the steps and resources I need to do that activity. As I go back to the details screen, I'm going to hone in on this hyperlink for viewing equipment details. And what this takes me to is a manufacturing screen that shows me all the production orders for this asset by date. So I can scroll through here and it gives the maintenance person visibility into production. So we'll know when production has production scheduled against this particular asset. On the production side, there's also a view into maintenance to see when there's eAM work orders that are going to consume time on this asset. So integration between eAM and manufacturing is present on this screen. We're going to go into work request and enter a work request now. We're actually going to take that work request and generate a work order that we're going to follow through. Work request is something that is used by a lot of my customers, and the way they use it is that anyone in the facility can create a work request. And it can be stuff that's really basic, making a funny noise, leaking fluid, dead battery, whatever, just some of the examples we have here. And what a work request does is gets routed to the maintenance supervisor who determines if a work order is necessary or they can be consolidated into one work order if several people have reported maintenance work requests. On the work request screen, you see the magnifying glass. I can search on the particular asset I want to use. It is defaulted in the department that is going to do this maintenance. The priority is medium. These priorities can be overridden if it's high priority. It's requested for preventative maintenance, and my description is simply seems to be leaking. Now, we use Oracle's conventional workflow that you're familiar with in order to approve these work requests. In the interest of time, I have made all these work requests self-approving because I am a maintenance supervisor, as I said before. When I enter a work request, it gets approved. From here, we're going to go to work orders, and I see some of the work orders I have in the system. Note again, I've created my own search. So I've honed this down or streamlined it just to be those work orders that I am most interested in. So we're going to create a work order, and we're going to create it from that work request we had. I can also search work requests with the magnifying glass, and as I bring in the work request, I see the asset number, its asset group, the accounting class, the description from the work request, and the department is going to be assigned to. Just a little bit more detail to highlight that for you. It is also defaulted the dates that I've entered this in. Over here, I have nominated the activity I want to do, which is mixer blender maintenance, and I am going to release this work order. So as I pick that activity, remember that's going to invoke the bill of material and routing that I've set up elsewhere, and I'm going to save this work order. And here is back to the work order screen, and I see the work order that I'm going to be using. Let's actually report against this one work order now. When I go into the details of the work order, I see the header information up here, but tabs for operations, materials, quality, any of that stuff associated with this. Now the asset activity is brought into two-step routing. I see diagnosis and repair per spec. And there's more drill downs here. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to assign a person to this work order so we can log time and capture individual people costs associated with the labor. When I say assign person, it brings up the people who have the competency to work on this actual step. And I've said And I've listed out the competencies here by opening up the folder. And so I see that John Conway has the following competencies associated with his skill set. So we're going to assign him to this work order. And we've jumped to the Materials tab. And on the Materials tab, I see the materials that have come over from the activity. This is the bill of material, and this is what I need to accomplish this particular piece of maintenance. I have the estimated cost for each of these maintenance items at their quantity too. When I've decided to issue these, I've selected all of them, and I'm coming to the Issue button from the previous screen, and I click Issue, and I get a message that all these items were in inventory. Obviously, I would get a message if anything was short on this. Back to the details of the work order, still at the operations screen, we've realized as we're doing our maintenance, we need to buy something which is a non-inventory item. So we're going to purchase materials, and we're going to jump out to our iProcurement. iProcurement is punch out to various vendor websites, also is our purchasing application that integrates with eAM. From here, I can create a requisition and have that approved through normal workflow approval based on dollar values and route it to the purchasing department to generate a PO. Or I can go directly from a rec, approve it, and go to a PO if I have that authority. And that's what I'm going to do. This is self-approving, so as I create a requisition and save it, it is going to be generating a purchase order for me. I've done a search in our store. I know I'm going to buy a set of pliers, a special set of pliers I need for this particular piece of maintenance. So as I hit go, it has brought forth the pliers that are in our catalog, showing me the supplier item, and any agreement associated with this particular item. So I'm going to add this to the cart. And once I'm in the cart, I see the pliers are in here. Got my PO need by date, and I'm going to submit this purchase order. As I submit the purchase order, remember I said I made this self-approving, it is generating a purchase order right from my purchase requisition. And now I'm going to go back to my work order. As I go back to the work order, it was one click to come back here. I see that my pliers have been listed on here with a requisition, a purchase order number, in an approved state. So the next thing we're going to do now is actually charge time against this work order. So on the operations screen again, in the drop-down, I selected charge time, and it brings me to the time entry screen. Now I can take all the defaults, which I'm going to do here, my resource, quantity, the hours, and it's going to default the person I am based on my sign-on. However, I do have the ability to change the resource, add the quantity or less hours, add people to this. If I needed help from one of my coworkers, I can also do this, but we're just going to take the defaults. And as I go to close the order, the next screen brings me to a meter. So before I can close out the work order, I have to enter a meter reading. Meters are designed to indicate the usage on here, and will be used to calculate preventative maintenance hours. So in this case, it's based on the number of hours the meter is run. The value when it started was 244. I did my maintenance, ran it for 12 hours. Everything seems to be working okay. So I'm just going to say okay and save and close this work order. So now that this work order has been closed, I want to see the cost associated with this. So from that work order, I hit View Cost, and it shows me my work order with actual, estimated, any variance cost associated with this, and the status of the work order. All these are hyperlinks, so I can drill into any of these costs. And as I drill into the cost details, I see my material cost, the resource cost associated with the person who spent time against this work order, and then my purchase order for my plier set. At any point in time, I can see the cost of the work order. I can also see the cost of the entire organization by saying, let me see all the costs of the children. That is our demonstration of eAM work request to work order.